Today, I'll look at the Victorian song, The British Man of War, and its sequel, Susan's Adventures in a British Man of War. I'll look at the background and printing history, sing samples of the song, and end on a full performance of one of the songs. 'Twas down in yonder meadows I carelessly did stray. There I beheld a lady fair with some young sailor gay. He says, "Me lovely Susan, I soon must leave the shore to cross the briny ocean in a British man of war." Pretty Susan fell to weeping. Young sailor, she did say, "How can ye be so venturesome to throw yourself away? It's when that I am 21 I shall receive my store. Jolly sailor, do not venture in the British man of war." Oh, Susan, lovely Susan, the truth to you I'll tell. The British flag insulted is, all England knows it well. I may be crowned with laurels, just like a British tar. I'll face the wall of China in the British man of war. The tune and words came from George Blake of Southampton, collected by George Gardner in June 1906. A sailor is walking with his true love, Susan. She asks him not to venture into danger. The sailor tells her he must go and fight the Chinese for the honour of the country. He tears a handkerchief into two and presents her with one of the halves as a link to his love. As he's rowed off towards the ship, she waves her handkerchief. This ballad seems to have originated in the 1830s. It tells us that the sailor is to face the walls of China because the British flag has been insulted. This implies the war against the Chinese, which arose because Britain was determined to control the distribution of opium. The Chinese government wanted to ban the sale and distribution of opium. The British had commercial investments in the drug, and then, as now, the commercial interests overruled the humanitarian aspects of addiction to the drug. There were two such wars. The first war took place between the years 1839 to 1842, and the second was between the years 1856 to 1860. In both wars, the Europeans were the victors. The ballad had a wide distribution as a broadside street ballad, and was revived when Britain had a second war against China. It may well have been popular in the early music halls. The growing empire encouraged songs and ballads promoting British victories and the idea of empire. The changing years and other wars have caused many of these songs to become forgotten. "Oh, sailor, do not venture to face the proud Chinese. They will prove as treacherous as any Portuguese. And by some deadly dagger you may receive a scar. Jolly sailor, do not venture in the British man of war. Oh, Susan, lovely Susan, the time will quickly pass. So come down to the ferry house and take a parting glass. My shipmates, they are waiting to row me from the shore. It's for old England's glory in the British man of war." The sailor took his handkerchief and cut it fair in two, saying, "Susan, keep one half for me, I'll do the same by you. The bullets may surround me, the cannons loudly roar, I'll fight for fame and Susan in the British man of war." The tune and words were collected by Cecil Sharp in September 1911 from William Lawrence of Ely in Cambridgeshire. The British man of war generated several sequels, the most obvious being Young Susan's Adventures on a British Man of War, which was the answer to the British Man of War. This also had several printings on broadside song sheets. Young Susan waves goodbye to her true love William and decides to follow him as a sailor. She dresses in sailor clothing and dubs tar on her hands and claws. She becomes a popular sailor on the ship. She faces the wall of China, and one day during a battle, a cannonball hits the mast and she falls from it onto the deck, where William is the first to her side. She tells him she is Susan, his true love. When they return to homeland, they get married. The ballad has some references that link into the British Man of War ballad. The words for Susan's adventures on the British Man of War, collected from traditional singers, varied very little from the broadside printing. Young Susan was a blooming maid, so valiant, stout and bold. And when her sailor went to sea, young Susan, we are told, put on a jolly sailor's dress, daubed her hands with tar, to cross the raging seas for love on board of a man of war. It was in Portsmouth harbour this gallant ship was moored, and when young Susan shipped there with 900 men aboard, 'twas then she was contented, all bedaubed with pitch and tar, to be with her sweet William on board of a man of war. The tune and words were from the book Traditional Tunes, edited by Frank Kidson in 1891. Songs of young women dressed as soldiers or sailors had been popular since the late 1700s, with songs like Jack Monroe, William Taylor, and the Female Drummer. The popularity of the British Man of War generated some parodies, and the song was adapted to fit more local events, such as the Fenian Man of War. The short-lived Fenian movement began in 1858 in America. One of their ideas was to create a small navy, which could be used to invade Canada and free it from British rule. They purchased a ship which was renamed Erin's Hope. The ship sailed to Ireland, but there was little or no support from the people of Ireland. In the ballad, the sailor tells his true love Bridget that he's away to fight John Bull. There are two songs dated from the American Civil War, and both are named A Yankee Man of War. One song relates to John Paul Jones. This is not related to the song we are reviewing. The other, also named A Yankee Man of War, uses the British Man of War ballad as a framework. There are several versions of the Yankee Man of War. In one, the ship is off to fight Jefferson Davis, the Confederate president. Another also relates to the Civil War, but without any specific event. It was also adapted to the American wars against Mexico in the 1840s. Oh, Susan, lovely Susan, the truth to you I'll tell. Proud Mexico insulted us, America knows it well. I may be crowned with laurels, just like a jolly tar, and I'll face the shores of Mexico in a Yankee Man of War. British Man of War became widespread and was still current at the beginning of the 1900s, when the collectors from the Folk Song Society were actively searching for songs sung by working people. There are several tune variants for the British Man of War, which makes the song a good strong song for any repertoire. I will end this podcast with a version of the British Man of War with a tune collected from Robert Miller of Sutton in Norfolk by E.J. Moran in 1921. One day that I was walking in the springtime of the year, there I beheld a sailor bold talking to some lady fair. He says, me lovely Susan, I soon must leave the shore, across the briny ocean in a British Man of War. Pretty Susan fell a-weeping, young sailor she did say, How can you be so venturesome to throw yourself away? It's when that I am 21 I shall receive my store. Jolly sailor, do not venture in a British man of war. Oh, Susan, lovely Susan, the truth to you I'll tell. The British flag insulted is, all England knows it well. I may be crowned with laurels, just like a British tar. I'll face a wall of China in the British man of war. O sailor, do not venture to face the proud Chinese, for they will prove as treacherous as any Portuguese, and by some deadly dagger you may receive a scar. Jolly sailor, do not venture in the British man of war. Oh, Susan, lovely Susan, the time will quickly pass. So come down to the ferry house and take a parting glass. My shipmates, they are waiting to row me from the shore, and it's for old England's glory in the British man of war. The sailor took his handkerchief and cut it fair in two, saying, Susan, keep one half for me, I'll do the same by you. The bullets may surround me, the cannons loudly roar, I'll fight for fame and Susan in the British man of war. Then a few more words together, when her love let go her hand. A jovial crew, they launched the boat so merrily from the land. The sailor waved his handkerchief when far away from shore. Pretty Susan blessed her sailor in the British man of war.